Okay, today I'm going to show you something I've been working on while I've been sick the last few days. One of the things that's been very difficult for me is coming up with convincing and creative original dungeons. It's just because my brain is more analytical than creative. But as I have been DMing these last 5 years, I've learned how to sort of expand that way of thinking. And one of the things that's really helped me is grabbing a lot of resources. And so I'm going to be using some of those resources for making dungeons, but to be frank, there's too many of them for me to be constantly looking between all of my different books. There's just hundreds of pages to sort through, and that's fine. I have the physical space, I could do that. But I really craved making a generator and making it a dice generator with tables for this sort of thing. So I went through and I grabbed the tables from those individual books, and I'm going to be using three for this one so far. I'll probably add some more as I think of them because I'm sure the Dungeon Master's guide has some of this stuff too. It's just more uh, limited in scope. So I might just add those as smaller tables or combine them into a single table and then toss that into what I have already. But I'll be using the Game Master's book of Traps, Puzzles, and Dungeons, and Ner'zhugul's Dungeon Master Toolkits 1 and 2. So I had to make some acronyms in order to make that. I mean, they're just so long. So one thing, and I wish I could credit this channel. I didn't think to write it down. I was learning about the 5-room dungeon structure, and there was this one channel that suggested a 10-room instead. And wow, it was really convincing to me. So it starts with your entrance and guardian, and then it splits up into a logical location or an environmental complication, which each split off into their own thing. So the environmental one splits off into a secret exit or over to a threat or ally that's alternate from the one that like your main focus is on in this dungeon. That alternate threat or ally is also connected to the logical location. So you can see some of these rooms connect to each other. These are individual rooms. These are each 10 separate rooms. You got one room dedicated to helpful info. You've got a resource drain. You've got a secret room, and you can, if you can follow my madness here, you can see these are kind of arrows pointing you which direction you need to go. Eventually, you get funneled towards the big battle or conflict, and then after that, it takes you to a plot twist or a reward or revelation. And so then that's really the end of the dungeon. But it starts with an entrance or guardian, or entrance and guardian. So what I've done is this is something I'm only going to be sharing with you in this video. I'm not intending on uploading this anywhere, and there's no copyright infringement in this. I don't actually have the dungeons copied over from the books in here, so this is not a copyright breaking video. What I'm doing is I have this little start here to draw my attention. First thing I'm going to do is roll a d4 to see what kind of puzzle I want for the entrance. And so I've got Game Master's book, pages 122 and 115. And then I have Ner'zhugul's Dungeon Master Toolkit 1, a puzzles table. And then there's option 4, no puzzle. Not every dungeon needs to have a puzzle. In fact, it might even be worth it to change this from 1d4 to 1d6 and make this 4 through 6. And in fact, I think I will keep that change as I'm talking it out loud. Not every dungeon needs to have a puzzle at the beginning. It might be kind of boring if it always follows the same formula. So for the same reason, I have a 1d100 chart over here with monsters that I picked out of the Dungeon Masters, or excuse me, out of the monster manual. I go up to 63. 64 through 100 would be nothing. Again, I think that's important to have that as an option because it's not exactly convincing if every time you have a dungeon, there's something guarding it. Next, I have collected some dungeon themes in a 1d100 list. And so I can roll that 1d100, decide if whatever it is something that I want to do, and if not, I'll just re-roll. So that's quite the long list. It takes quite a while to scroll through it. Next, I have your dungeon chambers. So I have Game Master's book of pre-built chambers. This is where you start. So you roll 1d6, you roll 6, roll again. Tables 1 through 5, decide what kind of chamber you're going to get. And again, if you roll something and it's not something you desire, you have the chance to roll again. And so there's 5 tables here which you can pull from. These are all pre-built chambers in that one book that have pretty much everything detailed out. So if I am in the process of making a dungeon and I really need something, I can roll for it. And this one right here, the wave pool, that one sounds pretty ocean related. So if that doesn't make sense for my context, I can either reflavor it or I can just re-roll and let the randomness pick something else. So that seems like a good option to me. There are some pre-built entrances. So this is the entrance table that I referenced right here in my original puzzle. So these are all different ways for the dungeon to start off. Then you've got halls and walls. These are things that you can run in between the chambers. I don't always really operate with hallways between chambers. I don't think it's always necessary, but it can be fun once in a while to throw in a hall and wall. Sometimes they're just so mundane you don't even role play them. It's just like the characters just kind of roll through it really quickly. There's not a whole lot of reason. Then you got a big finish table there. Other than that, I've got puzzles and traps. These come from the Game Master's book or Nerzugo's Dungeon Master Toolkit. Wonderful amount of options here, pre-built. And then lastly, below my 1D100 list, I have listed a bunch of different fictions that I often enjoy that I can use to probably inspire other dungeons. So if I'm looking for some inspiration, I could certainly throw up the game Pillars of Eternity and play through it and get some inspiration that way, or watch Pirates of the Caribbean or something like that. Take a notebook and a pen, write down things that are interesting, or if I remember a particular scene from these movies, because I'm a movie rewatcher, for instance, or a game, and I have the option to go to it, and maybe I can even just look it up on YouTube. I can absorb all the details, write them down on a sheet of paper, and then turn that into a room of my own design using elements that do make sense for dungeons that just wouldn't otherwise come to me. So that's all I wanted to share with you for my dungeon generator that I've built just using Google Sheets. You could use Excel, kind of a throwback to how people used to do it. And if you've got suggestions for other resources that you think I should add in there, please you're more than welcome to give me some suggestions in the comments section. And I hope this helps you in your own dungeon generation. Thanks.